welcome in. It is day 308, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be going over a game that I got just a little bit before the end of last year. It's sat on my shelf for a little bit, and it was one that I felt looked very complicated when I pulled out the box. In order to get ready for today, I actually had to not only watch how to play, but then I had to actually watch a 2-hour playthrough to really get a concept of what the game was, so I understood enough to be able to play myself. It wasn't as hard as I was expecting, and it was actually one that I'm super excited to get back to the table. The game is called In the Hall of the Mountain King. Now, this game is very, very interesting because it mashes up a few different ideas. The reasoning as to why I wanted the game was that the theme was more my style theme, and it was a game that looked like it was doing a bit of what you were getting from Isle of Cats, with that Tetris-style fixing of pieces to the board. However, what I got was a far grander game than that. There's resource management. There's cascading effects. There's the building of your workers. The idea of the game is that at the beginning, you're going to have 6 cards. Everybody has the same 6. You're going to pick 4 of them, and you're going to place them down as your starting workers. Now, when you do this, you're going to get the bottom supplies on that card, and then you're going to put the card, putting that particular spot underneath your starter board, and the secondary supply of things up there is what they'll be able to supply rest of game for you. But you start off with their bottom one. That's a one-time only give. And then depending on where you sit and on the number of people in the game, your other 2 cards are in hand, and you'll be able to get potentially one of those to get its resources as well, and then they go away and you don't see those 2 cards again. Then you have to make decisions as you go through your turn. So, do you want to build, or do you want to go and get new workers? The workers are designed in a really interesting setup, and this is where I'm talking about that's cascading. So you have level 1, level 2, and level 3 for your different types of trolls you can add to your worker group. Now the level 1s are free, but they're going to be cheaper as far as they're not going to give you as many resources. It's a very basic thing here. The level 2 workers give you a little bit more resources, but they also come with platforms on them. These platforms are important because when you place them on the board, they're going to get you at least a point, potentially up to 4. And then you can use these with other pieces on your board to potentially double scores of other things that you are looking to do. So if you want one of them, it costs 2. However, it's designed that the level 1 workers, there are 5. The level 2 workers, there's 4, and they are right between each worker. So if you pay 2 for one of them, you're actually paying 1 to each of the workers directly below them, building up the coins on them. Now, if you go above these guys, there's 3 workers left, and that's your level 3 workers. They cost 5, and they will come with not only the best options as far as resources on them, but you get to actually go into the bag and pick the color platform you want, instead of having to hope that you had the right color on top of the one you wanted. So this is a lot more option. Those 5 will be distributed between the 2 level 2 and the 3 level 1 workers below them. Now, if a worker ever reaches 4 coins, you have to discard the coins back to the supply, take that worker out, place them underneath the deck, and pull out another worker in their place. They've essentially retired. They've made enough money, they don't want to come out and work. So now, this is how you get your workers. You have that set up for them, and the cascading comes over to you as well, because once you buy the worker, you're now going to place them above your beginning workers. And when you do, you get all of the effects of the worker that you just got, as well as everything below it. So, you put it above the 2, and in order to do this, the resources you started with are on your starting mat. But all of the resources generated by any of your troll workers go onto the worker. It represents that you still have it there. During the game, you can either spend directly from them, or there's ways to bring it off of them below, and that's important because if you ever activate one of those workers or place another one above them again, causing all the workers to create more resources, you only can create resources on the available spaces. If you've already got some stone and you try to make more stone, you can't make it on the spots that still have stone on them. So that's an important factor to this game. Now, if you don't want to make a worker, you can also choose to go and build. When it comes to building, you have 3 different ways to pay, and you have 4 different sizes to make. You can make a level 2, 3, 4, or 5 building, and you can make these using your stone Or you could upgrade it and you can get iron, or you can upgrade that and you can get some kind of a metal. To be honest, I'm forgetting the name right now. But you can make one of these. Now it's different distributions of points. If you're making a 2-piece, there's no points no matter what you get. But if you're making a 3, a 4, or 5, well, the stone pays 1 to 1. A 3 pays 3. A 4 pays 4. A 5 pays 5. But then if you upgrade and you decide that you're going to go and you're going to make your iron, well, if you're making an iron 5, that's, instead of paying out 5, going to pay out 8. And the next one pays out 11. So you have a lot of options there. Now, during these placements, you have to be aware, if you're putting something on the board, it cannot be diagonal to you. It cannot cover something you already have. It has to go touching one of your spots, continuing. And if you ever see any spot that has rubble, it's going to require a hammer to be able to get through there. So you're going to have collected hammers for each spot that it's going to be falling on. That way you can place it. Otherwise, all resources that you cover, you gather. And if you cover any of the statues that are out there, they are now part of your territory. They jump on top of you, and now that's part of you. As well as, if you become adjacent, and that is above, below, left, or right, not diagonally, if you're one of the 4 adjacent spots to a workshop spot, you now can pick from the available workshops. Workshops are put out based on number of players times 2 plus 1. So in a 5-player game, 11 workshops. You pick one, you place it there, and at the start of your turn every round, you will be allowed to pick one workshop and activate it. And you can do its particular ability as many times as there are spots around the workshop that have entrances. So that's at least 1, because you've gotten it by getting in there, but potentially up to 4. And these are usually pretty straightforward. I'm going to trade a piece of my stone to get a piece of my iron. And you could also trade your iron to get your stone. These are great ways to get things off of your troll workers, as when you activate it, you might say, okay, I can use this twice, so I'm going to turn my stone or my iron into stone, and it comes down below, and then I'll turn it right back into iron, but it stays below, and now that spot's available. Or you just might change 2 pieces of stone above to iron and bring them both down. So you're making those. You also have the statues I was talking about. Now, statues are a big point scorer. Once you get it, you're already scoring points. It's going to be worth 2 points down below. There are different levels to the mountain, and each level that you're going into, as you move these or as you gather them, they all start on the outside. As you move them further in, they become worth more and more points until you get right next to the center of the mountain, which is where it's worth 10. And if you get any of those platforms and you can match the color of the statue to the color of the platform and get it on top, you will double its points. So, potentially, you could move a platform, drop the right piece. A platform can only be placed if you're placing a spot that has a circle on it. The only ones that don't do that are the 5s. Those are so big they don't have these. But the 4s, the 3s, the 2s all have these abilities. So when you place it down, you immediately can drop a platform. And then using wheelbarrows, either wheelbarrows up above, which most of them will be assigned a color, then you can say, I'm going to use my white wheelbarrow to move my white statue. Or you can choose to use wild wheelbarrows, which some above will have a symbol saying that they're wild, but most of the time it's when you remove them from above, they become wild. And you can move a statue from one piece it's on adjacent to the next piece, and you can move it up. The further up it goes, it's increasing its point value, and eventually if you end by moving it onto a piece that has one of your platforms of the same color and you get it on the platform, that's going to make it so that suddenly, when you get to the very center area, you go, oh, well, this is a 10-point spot for my statue. I'm on top of my platform. I double the points. It's 20 points now. You've maxed out. So that's a big way to get your points. Now, along with these, you're going to be getting gems. The gems you can cash out at the start of your turn, 1 gem at a time, so only 1 gem per turn, by placing it on one of the 3 available spells. You do this, you activate the spell ability. You all are going to have opportunity at this. And whenever a spell has its 3rd gem dropped, you'll do its ability, then you'll clear the gems, you'll put the spell on the bottom of the deck as it has disintegrated, it's gone, and you'll replace it with a new spell. So spells are going to help you with all sorts of ability, whether it's getting an extra opportunity to put more things on the board, whether it's making things cheaper, whether it's increasing the value of what you're putting out. Some of these are going to allow it so that, you know, you're placing out a 4 stone, but it's going to pay out like it's a 5 stone, or you're putting out a stone, but it's going to pay out instead like you're putting out an iron. So it's ways to get bigger payouts. And then other ones are going to help you at placing. Like, I'm going to use on my next turn whenever I drop, all I need is one hammer, even if I have up to 5 rubble spaces, because that card is going to make your one hammer strong enough to take care of all the rubbles that you touch. So lots of opportunity with the spells. Now, at the end of the game, when you've gotten to the point where it's now really filling up, the way that you end the game is every player, they start with 4 of their basic trolls, and you're going to be able to put 3 above them, then 2, then 1, meaning you can get to a group of 10. The first player to do this gets to have a bonus of 5 points. The second player to do this gets a bonus of 3, and now they have activated the end game. The end game is you're going to finish that round and then get 2 more additional rounds. At the very end of the game, you've got all the points that you were getting from placing things down. Now you're going to flip over all of the points you got for whenever you placed out one of your placement tiles. See what those are, add them up on your points. Then you're going to see for any buildings people put out. There are grand halls, there are 6 of them. You can use these on any area that you have big enough to fit them. However, they are only minimal points unless you can get a statue inside onto its statue, spot. If you do this, it becomes a lot more points. So some spots are 0 and become 5. Others are like 2, they become 8. Some of them are like 10 and they become 25. So there's big increases here. So you try to take advantage and see what you have for those. You score these. Then you score any of your statues that are by themselves for their section, and then any statue that's on a platform for its double points. And then you go back into all your resources, and you're going to be trying to count it out in 3s. And the way it works is for every 3 of the same resource, you get 1 point. Once you've scored all of those, put them to the side, see what you have left. Every 4 resources, and you can use any combination, can be traded for a single good, and you can try to see if you can pull off getting an additional point that way. Maybe even 2. Once you've finished up all those, you see who the winner is, and in the case of a tie, it is broken by who has the most of the highest level troll. So if you have 1 and I have 2 level 3 trolls, I'll win because of our tie. I had the stronger, big level troll. Well, that's how the game's played, but why don't we jump in, let's talk our 7 categories and see where this game lands for us. When it comes to the art, I love this game. This box is fantastic. It's my style box. I love a good medieval. I love the inside. One side of it's a little dark, one side's a little bit more light because it's more of a larger mountain, a little bit more snow type area there. But just such a great design. The cards, the pieces. I really love the art. Thumbs up. The components. Primarily, your components are wooden. You have loads of resources, your statues, your platforms, all in wood. There are some cardboard, like the different Tetris style pieces you're going to be placing out, the pieces that are going to represent what your workshops are, and your pieces for, say, your gold. And then there's the cards that represent your trolls. All of these are really top quality. Thumbs up. Your price. The game's not cheap. You're probably looking at 60 to 70 on this game. There's a lot of resources in this game. Its price is justifiable. But the game you're getting is so good. It's worth that price. It's a thumbs up. Your difficulty. To me, this game is perfect for experienced and for experts. I think it's right in their area. I think kids, this game's going to be a little complicated for. I think beginners, it could be complicated. They could take a try. I don't think it's impossible. But for me, I would say a beginner needs to sit down and watch a playthrough. And if they're willing to do that, like I did, you're going to have a lot better understanding. But overall, I think it's a good job. Thumbs up. Your replayability. I think this game is not one you can play the same in 2 times in a day. It's a little bit tough to fit this in. Not to say you couldn't, it's a longer game. It's going to take you close to 2 hours. But I do think this is a good enough game that I could see it being played a few times in a month. It's one that may come and go. You kind of play it a few times for a month, and then take a few months off, and then you jump back in. But for me, this is one that in a big collection I could play at least a few times a year. In a mediocre or smaller collection, this is one I could see getting to the table a good 10 times in a year. Thumbs up. Your keys to victory. There's all sorts of keys to victory. Are you trying to just get the most statues and limit other people's potential by getting minimal points, but knowing your points are able to score and they can't get scores? Are you trying to jump in and take advantage of having huge drops on the 5-level buildings and getting real big payouts? Are you trying to get better resources so that every time you drop a 5, it's a lot more points than everybody else? Are you trying to focus in on being able to get the platforms and get not only the platform drops for its good payout for each section, but to also get your statues to them and to get big payouts in their double points? There's a lot of ways to be able to take advantage of the keys to victory in this game. It's a thumbs up. Is the game unique? This game is extremely unique to me. I already think that the way that they're doing their setup of each person's burrowing from their own entrance into this, and that's how they're using these Tetris-style droppings of making their tunnels, I think that's already unique enough. But then when you bring in the trolls, the cascading effects, the spells, the ways to mix things around, how you're getting points, you're finding your statues, I think this game's really unique. Thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? This game's not going to be for everybody. I think that smaller gamers and beginners, this is not one you want to be jumping at right away. But I think for those of you who are consider yourself at least experienced and who like a good resource management game, a good tile placement game, a good building up your workers type game, this is one that you're going to love. It's a little expensive, but it's worth adding to your collection. I do recommend to watch a playthrough first before you go off and just buy the game. But to me, I can't see this failing for many people. I think this is going to be one that you're going to love. Well, it has been day 308, and we've been speaking about the game in the Hall of the Mountain King. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description. I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. And don't forget to jump onto Board Game Arena, where you can find me under the name The Meeples Champion. Feel free to reach out for a game, for a friend request. I'm on there a couple times a day. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.